Hello, everyone. This is Will.
This is Alex.
Welcome back to another episode of They Mostly Come In at Night.
Ring, ring, ring. Mostly.
Ring, ring, ring goes the trolley. Ding, ding, ding goes the bell.
What's the fucking song? Jenny.
Or
862.
8675309. Or
I know there's some other ones.
call back to original internet memes. The ring, 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 ring. Banana phone, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding. Banana phone.
None of them quite saw this coming, though.
I'll give you a call. I'll give you a call. Wow, Canada. Wow. Thanks.
Real quick, housekeeping.
Oh.
While Will dies
Sorry.
over there, in the corner.
Jesus. I saw it spit down the wrong tube.
So, if you haven't already, please, wherever you listen to this podcast.
We're gonna keep shilling it out until you guys do it. Okay.
Oh, it's every episode.
Yeah, every single episode. We're gonna start doing it.
So, wherever you listen, give us a like, give us a follow. We appreciate it.
YouTube,
always.
We're on YouTube. Just search They Mostly Come Out at Night podcast. You'll see our logo.
We're everywhere.
Subscribe there. We're on every single podcasting site.
Everything possible.
We're even on Twitter. We're on Instagram.
Reddit.
We're on Reddit. We're on Facebook. We're on everything.
So just give us a like and a follow, and
I'm
we'll,
sorry we're not on MySpace.
No. I mean, I guess if someone really...
I mean, if you
someone
really
paid
want
us.
us, if you really want us to do a MySpace, I guess we could.
If someone pays us
And we're
enough.
definitely not on My Yearbook, if that's even still a thing,
Or a live journal.
or LiveJournal, or
Not quite.
we're not on Tumblr. Where are we? No, we're not on Tumblr.
No.
I think we used to be.
We'll make a GeoCities account.
Yeah. Maybe I'll show up on Habbo Hotel a couple times. Really get the social media juices going.
We'll just go on Habbo Hotel and just fucking corner people and spam.
Yeah, spam Team Cone,
Like it, bitch. Fucking like it. I'm not leaving until you like it.
I'm not leaving this chat room until you.
Until you give us a fucking like. But yeah, wherever.
So go subscribe, like us. I don't know, it'd be kind of cool. Give us a review too. I mean, if you hate us, that's fine. If you like us, that's cool too. Just a review's a review. We don't have I think any right now.
Not officially, no.
No.
But hey, give us whatever. But yeah. The film. Canada.
Is
Today.
What is it? Murder by telephone?
Murder by phone.
Or bells?
So it's murder by phone, but the copy we watched says bells.
Yeah.
Everything I've seen though says murder by phone, so I'm gonna call it murder by phone. And you know what? Truth in advertising. Murder by phone.
Well, you know what? I think our protagonist in this film said it the best about this movie.
Please.
Substance without detail.
That was detail.
Or no, detail without substance. My bad. Detail without using substance.
There you go.
Because there's not a ton of substance in this
No.
movie. It's not like an intricate plot where a lot's going on, but there is a lot of substance.
There's a lot of detail.
There's a lot of detail in this.
It's a lot of little...
Oh, my bad. Sorry. I'm keep confusing it. Yes, there's a lot of detail in it, which they go way too... they went so in-depth that I did not ever expect any movie to go that in-depth.
About, telephones?
With, telephones and how they used to trace people in, the 80s and shit. I was just like, okay.
They went there.
In the last, 5 minutes of the film, it just goes full tilt into this is how this works kind of thing.
And, kudos.
You know what? It kind of worked for me. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't hate this one, but it is pretty ridiculous.
It is very ridiculous. I mean, it's a movie called Murdered by Phone, which is exactly what happens.
Yeah, people get murdered by their phones.
Not just their phones, any phones. It's just...
Yeah, tries to make
a weapon.
you afraid of phones. It was one missed call before that was a thing.
It's one missed call minus the fucking demon.
Yep.
It's just technology.
Technology and a turbo Karen. We get fucking like the Karen to end all Karens.
Oh, this dude is not. He's not happy.
I won't reveal it, but yeah, it's a turbo Karen at the end. It's a dude. I don't know what's the dude equivalent of Karen.
I don't know. I'm sure there's one, but I've never actually heard one. Not officially. I don't know.
Like John?
That's too generic. I don't know.
Kevin?
Kyle.
Well, Kyles are just douchebags. I don't.
Karen and Kyle.
Yeah, whatever the male equivalent of a Karen, that's what we get in this movie.
That's what you have to deal with. That's what the world has to deal with.
Because it's a pretty simple plot. Because basically, it's we get a college professor,
an environmental professor.
He's an activist too, an environmental activist. One of his students gets killed in like this random.
They say it's a heart attack.
Seemingly random like event.
Well, they say it's a heart attack.
And he thinks something's up, so he becomes like a private eye, basically.
He investigates the whole thing.
And then uncovers this huge cover-up by a phone corporation.
A phone corporation. Involving...
So this is a political thriller involving a phone corporation and a mass murderer that kills people by...
exploding them.
By exploding their phones.
There's a lot of, like... name dropping of like social issues, activism, environmental issues, and like evil companies. And yes, it is a movie about a fucking.
Well, you got like corporate greed, you got like
cover-ups,
cover-ups.
Even like a little bit of like political police corruption.
Yeah, it's like you get everything, and they did not have to go this hard with like a movie
about
a guy who kills people by exploding their phones. That's
fine.
I just want to reiterate that because he literally kills people by sending a charge so high that it explodes their phone and launches them into the fucking stratosphere.
It makes them bleed out of their fucking eyeballs. And
as if that wasn't enough, he blasts them into the stratosphere after making their eyes bleed.
Well, listen, he had to do it to him.
He did, for the most ridiculous reason.
But I mean, like, right from the start, you get like this like long one take of like a telephone in a subway station.
Yeah,
then like a woman gets out of the train, then she's walking, and like the phone starts ringing.
Right.
And then, like, someone drops something on the subway, like, escalator. She picks it up for them, and the phone's still going off. And then she's just like, what the hell? And then goes there, innocently picks up the phone, and immediately someone's like, hello? And then, like, this, like, ringing noise.
It says, like, weep, 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 weep,
and she starts, like, shaking, and you see, like, blood coming out of her eyes and her mouth.
And then, like, the thing sparks up. And you just see her get blasted onto the escalator.
And it just explodes onto the escalator, and there's like a homeless woman there that just kind of looks at her.
Now, I'm really sad in this movie where they have people exploding. There was no head explosions.
Unfortunately not, no.
Maybe they wanted to do that, but they just couldn't get the funding to make all those papier-mâché heads. So they're just like, you know what? We're just going to launch them backwards.
We get at least 2 old people being thrown into like glass, which
that's true.
And we do get a dummy.
Like the next one is pretty lit.
Well, the next one is my favorite.
It's probably the best death in the entire.
That was extra.
So then, after all that happens,
we get like a little bit of like our intro to like.
Yeah, they like rule it as a heart attack, and we get an intro to the professor.
He's teaching, and he finds out about this.
Yep. So he's like concerned because he doesn't think it's actual. So he's like, okay, well,
because she's like a 20-year-old woman. Getting a heart attack.
Well, she like traveled somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
So he has to go there, but he has a colleague there, like his mentor or whatever.
His mentor. It's like an older professor.
It's like an older gentleman, and he, so he goes with him, stays with him, and that's how he's like able to like get around. And so he goes to the phone company.
Well, this is at some point. This guy's on the phone. It's like an office. It's a very like 80s corporate office, and you immediately look at it and you're like, something's gonna happen. Because the guy's in there, and I love it. Every time there's a telephone, they film it like it's a fucking like. It's like all like
it's like all foreboding.
There's
and
like all this
there's
like dramatic lighting, and it's
like
just
you
like
know something fucked up's gonna
something's
happen.
gonna happen
phone.
every time there's a phone on screen, and this person just like answers the phone, and this guy's like, "You took it, you stole my idea," and then wah, 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 wah. And then of course he bleeds out of his mouth and everything, and then
he gets blasted out of the corporate office.
So he's
in a chair.
This is like. This has so many things that that amuse me to no end. Because not only do you get a fucking dummy thrown out of a window, it's a dummy in a chair.
Yeah.
And the chair
blasts out of the office through the window.
There's a car.
And there's a car. No. I'm a sucker for quick cuts.
Oh.
Like, at the perfect moment.
They do that.
So they have it where it's just like it's aimed. The camera's aimed down
from where it's flying out of. Yeah.
This chair is just free falling with this dummy, and it's already enjoyable. And then right like the second it hits the car, it cuts.
It cuts to like
and I was
daytime.
Just like,
yeah.
That is the perfect quick cut. Like you just hear like a millisecond of the crunching sound of the car, and then it cuts.
I don't know why.
It's beautiful.
But every time it's.
I could watch that scene over and over again.
Oh, every time
it's hilarious.
It's glorious.
It's kind of like that scene in where the kid gets blasted in the sleeping bag.
Oh, in Prophecy?
In Prophecy, when he just gets
exploded. Yeah.
It reminds me of that because it made me laugh really hard.
I know.
Because the quick cut, I don't know like why, but the quick cut just like it ended me.
Well, because you know that was like a decision, a conscious decision. That
It
they were like
slayed me that they cut like right there because they obviously they filmed the entire thing.
They probably
right?
filmed it and like
they filmed the crash, but it probably didn't look good enough to
the
keep
dummy fell apart.
Something probably happened, and they had like one take, and they're like, "Oh fuck!"
And they're in the editing room, and they're like, "Okay, I got it."
Okay, well, cutting room floor. Let's leave that on there because that doesn't look right.
They're like, "Okay, I got it." They cut right when it hits.
I just love the millisecond of crunching sound you get.
And then daytime, it's all fine.
So he's still investigating, and he's going to the office, and he meets this artist that's doing a mural.
While he's trying to get an interview.
For them, and so he's trying to get an interview. He's talking with the phone company. They're not really, cooperating with him.
The cops are also just like, hey, it's a heart attack,
Well, the
whatever.
cops are, ruling it as a heart attack, no foul play involved. And the phone company is just being, running him through the ringer. Oh, well, you can call here. If there's a complaint, you can do this, blah, blah, blah. We're not going to talk to you, basically.
But,
giving him the
because one of the reasons is that, he goes to... He's, on the subway, and he gets off at the subway station where the woman got fucking exploded in the beginning.
Well, and he finds...
The phone is, a brand new phone.
Yeah, and it's all shiny, and he's like, well, that's weird.
That's why he goes to the phone company. He's like, what's the deal? And they're like, oh, we don't know.
And he tries to get, the phone records, and then he tries to get, the repairman.
So he, takes one of the phones and, takes a fucking, what the hell is it called?
The bolt cutters.
Yeah, he takes the bolt cutters and, cuts it and, steals the phone. And then immediately calls them and, tells them, hey, this phone's, stolen. Guy shows up, and then he's like, yeah, I saw, this one.
He's like, yeah, we gotta... We
had two issues in this same station. This phone was just like someone took a blowtorch to it.
Yeah, we have it in they have it in the I guess the destruction department or whatever.
Some room
where they just get rid of broken and old junky phones. I don't know why they keep them on display in there, but
he's like, oh, well, how much basically he asks him and he finds out that this much energy goes through a telephone when you make a phone call.
Right.
And there's no way that that much you would have to do some crazy shit
to make it because even at the maximum, even when it's ringing, which is it's giving off the most energy, it's not near enough to kill anyone.
And the fact that in that phone everything in the receiver was melted. Mm-hmm. So sums up.
So between them, we get a shot of a guy with a umbrella. And he's walking up to...
No, first he goes to... Yeah, it's like an intense shot of a guy with an umbrella, and he goes to a tax office.
Right.
And he's like talking to a woman, and she's just like...
Well, she's kind of like being like, okay, well, like, you know, we'll try and figure out your situation. Like, apparently he's trying to deal with some tax issues.
Who knows? And
she's just being a frustrated tax woman because they have to deal with a lot of bullshit.
My favorite, though, is the dramatic, like, tracking shot.
Well, then he, like,
up to the fucking tax office building.
Well, I know, I love it. And then it's all intense. It's really intense.
It's all in like first person.
And then he like goes to a door and then turns around and tries to talk to her again.
And she's like
I'm sorry, there's people in line. I can't help you. Like, you know, like fuck off. Basically.
And then you see like he looks at her like name thing on like the desk.
Enter the Turbo Karen.
And of course you're just like, oh,
the tax lady was mean to me. She deserves to die.
So, of course, we get a scene of her, like, it's like a home, and of course, it's like a foreboding shot of a telephone in the middle of the room.
Well, she has, like, a fucking kid and everything.
Who's, like,
I'm just, like...
roller skating around the room, and then, like, he picks up the phone, and she's like, hey, put that down, like... And then she picks it up, and the guy's like, is there anyone else on the line? And then she's like...
Get off the phone! And he, like, the kid
puts this down.
So at least Karen cares about the kids.
I guess.
Okay.
And the kid puts like his like headphones on, and then she's like, hello, and then the guy fucking does the thing, and then this is where we see the fucking button.
Yes.
Because we see like a fucking like computer lab thing, and then like him like turning the dial up for the beeping. And then she's like bleeding, and then of course like we see like a red button.
He has like an eject button.
And then he presses it and kaboom!
He kabooms her into a cabinet.
A cabinet
like
of
a
like
glass
all this shit,
cabinet.
and this middle-aged woman just gets yeeted into this.
While her son
cabinet.
is just listening to music in the next room. I'm just like, okay, all right, cool,
that's fine,
whatever.
Like in the meantime, our main character kind of starts going out with the woman who's painting the murals.
Yeah, because they like hit it off, and she's like really smart too.
And she also talks about like how because she's like painting all this stuff, they've given her access to like blueprints and like all this stuff.
Well, she's also heard talk and all this stuff, you know.
So he like gets like a map from her of like where this fucking destruction.
But this is also where we get a guy like our like PI guy taking pictures of them.
Oh yeah, while they're on a date,
there's
someone's taking pictures.
Random guy taking pictures of like everything they do together. So he's following them around, and then
he also finds because the police gave him like the woman's belongings who died.
Yeah.
And he looks at her earrings, and like one of her earrings, the one that would have been on her like right ear,
and
it's like burned.
Do we get the next kill scene, or do we get him sneaking into the phone company?
I think we get the next kill scene.
Because next is like again, I don't know why, but a really intense shot of this guy with an umbrella again.
Walking up to a bank.
And he's checking the time like they're not supposed to be closed.
Well, it's like, because it's all filmed in like as if it's his POV. So he's like trying to open the door, and the door's closed, and he looks at his watch, and then looks at like the watch in the bank.
And at the same time.
And then he goes up to the next window.
And like taps on it with his umbrella.
And there's a bunch of people like gathered around someone with like a birthday cap.
Yeah, and he's like, they're having like a celebration, so they like closed early.
And then she's like, and then a woman walks up and is like, oh, I'm sorry, like, it's a party, like we closed early.
Yeah.
And of course, he's just like, this is unacceptable.
Turbo Karen is not impressed.
And we know this fucking woman later on comes home.
Well, she gets dropped off by the like bank manager, I guess.
By someone.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. But
you already hear like a telephone ringing, so she goes up and like opens her door, and then like picks up the phone, and it's like, oh, just hold on 1 second, and closes the door, and it gets on her fucking Mickey Mouse phone, and then our guy just ramps it up.
Well, I love how like blood sprays on Mickey Mouse's face.
Yeah, on Mickey Mouse's face, and then you see the button, then he presses it, and kaboom. And she explodes next to like a giant teddy bear. She's an adult Disney woman. Well, it's fine. And
she was just a fun-loving woman.
She's a fun-loving adult Disney woman.
They just closed early to celebrate someone's birthday.
And he just couldn't handle it.
And Kyle was just like, nah,
I want my money.
It. I want my money, you motherfuckers. I want my money. The tax commission girl paid. Now the banker's gonna pay.
Now you pay?
You're gonna fucking pay. I cannot believe you've done this to me. So now we get our guy infiltrating the phone company by
and he's been telling, like, he's been talking to his mentor in the meantime during all these scenes, and we find out that the mentor works for the phone company.
Yeah, because he got a lot of money. He can do like a lot of like good with the money.
So he's like,
that's what he's claiming.
Well, he's like, you understand, you can't just be an activist. You have to work in the system,
right,
to change things.
Well, because this money can fund different things.
So you're already kind of like, eh.
And this is where they use lab coat logic.
Well, I read this somewhere a long ass time ago that, like, if you put on a fucking lab coat and you carry around like a board with like a paper on it looking official, people will let you do anything.
Yep, in movies.
And apparently, like, I've read that even in real life, this works the same way. People just automatically think, official. So that's what he does. But he also gets, because of the girl, he makes a fake, like, photo, like a photo card.
Yeah, because he goes to, like, an arcade and gets, like, a photocopy.
Gets, like, one of those, like, quick photos taken of himself.
And then he attacks the cameraman because he sees him in, like, a mirror of a store.
And he sees that the cameraman is employed by the phone company. And gets, like, arrested.
And this is all ramping up to the infiltration, because this is where the mentor guy tells him he's been working for the phone company.
Because he bails him out.
Everything. He bails him out of jail. And the guy's like, well, I got to go figure this out. So he goes to
They go on the tour.
He grabs a lab coat and gets into,
the room.
Convinces...
Well, first, he goes to a room where they're, like, have, like, this...
They're testing this, like, blasting technology.
To explode things. And it's like, why in the
They never explain why they're doing it.
Because evil phone company.
Yes.
That's it.
They never really explain, but it's just...
It's a movie.
Because they're evil.
Because evil big company. And so they're doing this, and he then goes to, like, a closet where all the stuff is.
And then that way he understands, like, how it works, like, how they're actually doing it.
Because in the closet, he sees all of the phones...
lined up.
That have been used to kill people, lined up. And there's 4 of them there. So immediately, and then, of course, they kind of figure out the jig is up. So he runs away by donning a... Like,
he takes up the lab coat and puts on a hard hat.
So people think he's like he's with all the construction people, and that's how he gets out.
So he walks away, and then he goes to his girlfriend and kind of explains, like, hey, like, I don't want you to be involved in this. You need to, like, kind of get away. And she's like, no, I'm helping you with this. And
he also talks to, like, the cop who was previously just kind of like, whatever. He talks to him and, like, gets him on his side.
And then he talks to
his mentor.
His mentor is like, well, like, you know,
I'll talk to the guy. I'll talk
to him. There's nothing you can do. Like, don't call the police. They won't do anything.
And so in the meantime, like, he says that he wants to, like, set up, like, some sort of meeting. And in the meantime, as he's supposed to, like,
he also tells the girl that, like, he's not gonna, like, he'll call once.
Well, don't forget, because first he goes to get his dick wet with the girl.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. So, yeah. He goes to the girl's house, and they're all, like, the phone company's there. And basically, like, ruined her career. Like,
because they have all the pictures, and they're like, we're going to get you. We got lawyers.
Yeah.
And so he he gets his dick wet.
He picks the worst time to kiss her after her whole, like, all this money is gone, and they've, like, rifled through her things, and he's like, I'm going to do what I should have done. And then
he's like, I'm going to do what you originally wanted me to do. And then they do all that, and then in the meantime, like, the other guy is, like, setting up a meeting, and he's assuming that he's gonna come there later that night, but he's like, nah, dick wet.
That ain't gonna happen.
So they call, like, while the guy's doing, like, he's, like, recording some stuff, someone calls him, and they're like, hey, like, did you do, like, what we asked you to do? Like, this is getting serious, blah blah blah. And he's like, I'm doing it. And then they call him again.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, you didn't do it. So they turn on the fucking thing
and blast him into the next room.
An old man gets blasted through a glass door. And then like after all this, our guy goes there and he like finds the tape recorder
and like cuts it apart so he can actually listen to it because even the recorder's like burned.
The fucking thing was so strong that it burned the like voicemail tape recorder.
So he splices it up and like this. So this is after he's told the woman that he's gonna call once and then he'll hang up and then call again.
Yeah.
And so he goes to a fucking like a phone booth and like is trying to call her, but like while that's happening, the guy is calling the girl.
Well, yeah. First the guy calls, and then she's in the shower, and the phone keeps ringing and ringing and ringing, and eventually, like right before she answers it, the guy like gives up.
Yeah.
And so then we get like the long tracking shot where the camera pans around and you just like the phone is front and center, and then she goes to the back of the room, and then like it rings again. Once. So it rings once.
And then we get the strangest, like quote unquote, chase scene I've ever seen.
Because you see the guy.
It's like a race against time scene.
You see the evil guy, like, plugging his equipment in and calling her. And then intercut with that is our good guy in the phone booth calling her. So it's like, who's going to make it? Who's going to make it? And then the good guy makes it.
Yep. So he's like, do you have a tape recorder and everything? So he goes over to her house and he's like, here, like, let me.
Who's this?
Like, you know them, like.
Well, because he's like, this voice sounds familiar.
Like, who does this sound like to you? And then we figure out that the guy that's been killing everyone, the Turbo Karen, is like Noah. He's the
tour guide.
He's the tour guide.
Because in the movie, this evil phone company's like operations are so interesting.
Well, because what happened is he was the head. Oh, okay. Should we save the explanation for later, or should I
go for it, dude?
So what I think happened, and this is what I gathered from the movie, is they moved from fiber optics to more electronic system, and this guy was over the head of the fiber optics, right?
And he got shit canned.
And he got shit canned because he didn't have any ideas.
Basically, he got shit canned, and someone else is now in charge.
And so
instead,
he had this huge thing, and they delegated him to
the fucking tour
guide. And so, I mean, I kind of get it.
I get it.
That's pretty shitty. They're like, hey, like you can still work for us, but you have to be a tour guide.
Well, it's like, it's like you got a cushy job working in like some lab, and then they're like, hey, gotta take a pay cut, and you gotta work with customers.
You gotta be a tour guide.
I don't know. Fair. But
it's like a question like, is he the asshole though?
Is he wrong? Would I do that?
I mean, probably. He was wrong for killing those innocent people, but
the Kyle was in him already. I guess.
The Kyle was in him, and it just awoken. They awakened the Kyle.
But yeah, we find out it's him, and also there's a scene earlier where he's like asking her some questions, and we see he like walks with like a cane kind of, so it's
like an umbrella. So he kind of figured maybe something's going on.
But yeah, and then they find out his address, so our guy is going there, and it's like an abandoned house.
So he looks around. There's nothing there. He can't see anything inside.
The evil guy calls the girl, and immediately she answers the phone, and he's like, "Is this like so and so?"
And she's like, yes, and she wises up real quick and like throws the phone.
She knows because he doesn't even wait. He doesn't even wait. He just immediately hits the explosion button.
What's weird is like the other calls, he waited and then did like the little like the audio thing and then exploded the phone. But this one, he just immediately was like, "Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you."
You want to wait.
So yeah, she throws the phone. She lives. The detective is like fully on board with it now.
Everyone's on board.
Everyone's on board. So they think of a plan where they can reverse the polarity of the electronics,
the phone signals,
so they can send the signal back to its origin.
So basically, they're gonna have, because he knows that this guy's gonna call him. They know
because the guy knows his phone number. He knows he's gonna call him.
So he knows, and he knows when, because the guy, basically what he does is like he only does these phone calls after work.
Right. Well, because it's always like
at a certain time.
At a certain very specific time.
So they're gonna like have him call, and then they're gonna trace his call, and then
So this
send
our
his
protagonist
evil signal back.
So this is how they're going to build tension. Our protagonist has to keep him on the phone while they old school track him, 80s style track him on the phone.
With like 5 people going between like a giant like switchboard room and then a bunch of people in a lab pressing buttons.
My God, do they go in depth with this?
Yeah.
They show like, the whole fucking process.
Because they're like, they know like the first 3 numbers and then they're going to go and like try to get the other one. So it's like that he calls and then they get the first number. He gets on the line. He gets the second number and then
he's like talks. Put on hold for a while. That's when they get the second number.
And then he talks to him and like tells him, and that's when he tells him like, I'm killing like worthless people. Like I'm doing the world a favor. And
he's like, well, what about the student? What about like my student? Like,
and he's like, what did she do? And he's like, oh, that was just a test.
I was just testing
this thing to see if it worked. Because we see that it's like a completely different house than his official address.
Yeah.
And he just has this fucking setup in his basement.
All where they're getting the numbers, and then he's finally like, you're stalling for time. Oh, what are you tracking this? You're tracing this? So he's like, okay, and then like he like does the blasting thing and like presses
and the guy
button.
throws the phone.
Throws the button. He like throws the phone at the last second and explodes midair. And they get the final number.
The
while
guy
it's
like
still...
changes a switch, and then the signal. We see like a close up of like phone wires as the signal's like going back, and then the guy's fucking system just starts sparking
and everything. His like eyes turn, his eyes like turn like blood red.
And then like I guess it's implying that his eyes explode later, but like he goes back and like a fucking like
a panel like falls on top of him, and his eyes are all black, and he's like bleeding out while his like fucking house is on fire.
Oh God!
And the fucking
so, villain's dead. In the meantime, they like the company is like, yeah, okay, just don't go public.
One of the guys like, I'm gonna go to the media with
this. Okay, well, like, are you fucking insane? Like, we have to go public.
And he's like, nothing you can do can shut us down. All right.
And then, so it's like, evil company, and then the guy's on the phone with somebody.
He goes to green courtesy phone.
Oh yeah, because he gets a phone call, and someone's like, so and so, green courtesy phone. And then it's like the police or whoever, and they're like, hey, like, we're interested in like what you have to say and all this stuff. And then the woman is like, she gives him like money on like a bet that they made earlier.
That he's not going to like keep working at this or something.
And then she walks away and he's like, hey.
I'll call you. And then it zooms in on a telephone. The credits roll to still images of phones.
Of phones. Adorable.
You know, this movie...
It's very Canadian.
It is extremely Canadian.
There's so many, like...
It's a political thriller about exploding phones.
About an evil telephone company. Because there's also, like, a scene where, like, one of the people is, like, talking about, like, if you put us out of business, like, there are going to be dozens of people dying every hour because they can't, like, reach 911.
Yeah, like, you'll
kill people.
If you put us out of business,
you need us.
We'll kill people.
And it's like...
I mean, he's not wrong, though.
I just never expected to watch a fucking movie where there's an evil telephone company.
Yeah, same.
I guess it's possible, but...
Well, an evil telephone company paired with a guy that gets butthurt about everything.
It's like a telephone company that has technology to explode phones.
Like, why? Again, they should have explained why they fucking needed that
just
technology.
Have it.
They're just evil, so they just have a way to... Of course, evil phone company would have a way to, just for some weird reason, movie logic, kill people.
Well, because I was thinking, like, the building reminded me of, like, Gremlins 2. And and in that movie, there's a fucking lab where they're doing crazy experiments. And it's like, okay, but that's like a comedy. In this, it's like they follow that logic where there's just rooms in the building where there's secret experiments. And then in one of those rooms there, the fiber optics room.
But it's a fucking phone company.
It's a phone company.
It's a phone company. It's not like Verizon has like fucking ways of like exploding your phone. Like what the fuck?
I'm not gonna lie. If someone made a movie like this with like Comcast, it would be hilarious and lit. An evil like internet cable company. That'd be like the modern equivalent, I guess.
It's true, but like I just don't.
But it's just like I can't picture it
because it's kind of ridiculous.
Because it's like people,
if you think about it too hard, it's actually kind of ridiculous.
Because people make movies about like evil oil companies, evil whatever, like evil, I don't know, fucking banks, whatever. Like a phone company, it's a new one.
I mean, yeah, phone companies are probably powerful, but
that was their thing. Is like
it doesn't look that evil. Like, sure, phone companies are evil, but it doesn't look that like.
Right, no one thinks about that.
It doesn't look that like evil. Like I'm sure the script, it was hard to like press that like to a fucking board of these people making this movie. Like, yeah, we have an evil phone company. Okay, what? Well,
someone had the idea like, what's like we need to make like a slasher type movie. But it's not going to be, like, something different.
Well, they're like, okay, well, how about they kill them with phones?
Exploding phones.
What?
It's like, oh, yeah, the danger is everywhere. Any phone. Any phone could be dangerous. And they're like, okay.
Which I get what they were going for, but it comes off just ridiculous, not, like, scary.
It's an evil phone company.
They didn't quite hit the mark with the scare factor there.
I don't think it's possible to.
Not with phones.
It's impossible.
It's like Night of the Lepus and trying to make us scared of bunnies.
Yeah, like...
Cute little adorable bunnies dealing with miniatures.
So instead it's like, that's impossible. But we do get scenes of people bleeding out of their fucking eyes and mouth.
Very entertaining.
And then exploding for no reason other than someone thought it looked cool.
Yep.
And that, you know what? It
is entertaining.
That's
not gonna
fine by me.
I'm not even gonna lie. It's very entertaining. This movie definitely doesn't waste your time because it's only an hour and 28 minutes.
We get some fun.
It's short and sweet.
Some fun lines. I mean, you already said the one. There's one where he's talking to the fucking cop, and the cop's like, "Go back to your soybean farm."
Yeah, because he's talking to an activist. Okay.
Or the fucking hot dog. The telephone repairman's like, yeah, I don't know, some hot dog got annoyed with his phone bill. Like, I don't know.
This movie's ridiculous. It's not scary in any regard.
No.
It's not like a good slasher film, but if you just want like a weird, entertaining Canadian, like political thriller horror film
about phones.
Yeah, I guarantee you've never seen anything like it.
No, you haven't, and you haven't seen anything like it treated as like
so serious.
Well, it's just like earnest. It's very earnest. They're just going for it.
Yeah, they don't care at all.
They're not hee-hawing it.
No, it's very, because the acting's not bad. There's no like hamming it up or anything.
No, it's all
straight, like it's done with a straight face.
It's a movie. Like it doesn't look bad, other than the fact that the rip we watched is
very low quality.
Oh, honey, it looks like it looks like, you remember how you used to be able to like record VHSs, like blank VHS tapes?
That's what it looks
it's like one of those, but it's like if you recorded a recording of a recording.
Yep.
It's
rough, but it is
doable.
On YouTube.
It's free on YouTube. And there's a lot of versions of it on YouTube, so apparently you can just fucking watch this movie anywhere.
Yep. Murder by Phone.
Murder by Phone.
Go watch that. And
what would you give this? I'll show you pretty.
It's definitely not getting top marks, but you know what? I can appreciate it. It's endearing.
It is.
Because it's entertaining as hell.
It's adorable.
I wish the villain's head exploded, because that would just...
It would have added
anytime
like
a head explodes, I'm in. You know? You get a good head explosion scene, I will give you a better point system for just a head
I
exploding.
would have added
scenes.
like a point or two just for a head explosion.
But they did have the quick cut fucking.
But they did
chair,
throw a dummy.
chair hitting the car scene. So
they did throw a dummy out of a tall building.
They did, and they fucked up the landing and had to quick cut it, and I appreciate it for that.
They still hit the car though, which
they did, because you can hear it for like a split second crunching, but
quick cut.
Okay, so that's a long-winded explanation, but I would say maybe like a 6 or a 7.
Because I was gonna say I'm giving it a 7.
Okay.
Because
I was leaning towards a 7, but I just wasn't sure. I'm like, you know what? 6 sounds good, but so does 7. I think 7 because it is very entertaining.
Yeah, because that's my reason. It's like 7. It is entertaining. It's not
dumb.
It's not badly made, like at all.
Like its stuff makes sense, except for why a phone company would want to kill people. But like stuff like in this realm, in this universe that the movie's set in, I guess things make sense. It doesn't make sense for the real world, but it makes sense for this whatever universe this is in, where they explode phones. And I don't understand why the phones like blast people, but it was very, very hilarious to watch it. So
they knew that there was no way in hell they were gonna physically be able to explain how the fuck a phone could explode someone to the next room. So they just kind of like, he finds it in a lab, and they're like, it's a thing.
You just do blah bitty blah.
This is the new thing.
It's like new movies and explaining everything with like quantum whatever. That's your scapegoat, okay?
Or
that means you don't have to explain jack shit. You're like, how does this technology work? Oh well, it's quantum mechanics. Okay, cool. All right, no
quantum coils. Yeah.
No explanation needed. No one's gonna look into this shit. No one cares except for turbo nerds. And you know,
someone's gonna
good.
be like, wait a minute.
Just say quantum whatever.
Quantum or fucking
quantum mechanics
or nano
like anything like that. Just explain it away, because no real person in that context is gonna look into that shit.
No one's gonna think twice.
Because no one cares. It's a movie. Like no one really
exploding phones.
No one really cares to look into it. I'm not gonna go and be like, how does this work? How is it gonna reverse the polarity? Yeah, I don't care. It was an hour and 28 minutes, and it didn't waste my time. It was entertaining, and that's all I need.
It's a slasher movie with a fucking phone. You know, it's fine. I have no...
It is what it is.
It's not... It's a 7 out of 10. Like, it's not a masterpiece, but, you know, there are way worse times I could have spent an hour and a half.
It's not next of kin.
Much worse. It's not next of kin. Because, I mean, if you really, like, if you try to compare the two, like, boy, you really see, like, next of kin, they were fucking, like, quality.
Well, I feel like next of kin, they kind of better understood
next of kin's a fucking masterpiece.
How to, like, ramp up terror, and, like, how to, like, get that, like, weird, like, paranoid feeling.
Dude,
because in this they try with the phones, right? They try to ramp up the paranoia. They just don't do a very good job of it.
Yeah. It's a lot more, I don't know, simple, I guess.
I would say like amateur, but not in like necessarily in a bad way. Like,
no.
You can tell
it's serviceable.
Well, it's endearing because they did try, and I could tell what they were going for, and it's
serviceable.
It's serviceable. I wouldn't say it's like super effective.
No.
But in Next of Kin, it's very effective.
Next of Kin is
because there's some actually legitimately creepy shots in that. There's some weird shit going on. You get the paranoia juices flowing like this film tried. This one just didn't quite hit the mark.
Not quite. It's phones. And I mean,
you know what? It's a fucking fun.
People explode.
It's a fun movie to watch just for the murder scenes alone.
People explode. What else do you need?
That's it. People explode by phones. I mean, is there literally anything else you need?
What else do you want?
It's probably, and like I said, like a 7, because as far as like how slasher like murderers like kill people, this is probably one of the most original I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, pretty mildly.
I've never seen a serial killer kill people by phone. I mean, maybe like bashing people with the phone. I'm sure I've seen that, but I've
Not
never
quite.
seen them exploding people in the next room through a fucking eject button through phone.
Yeah, they have a basement rig set up.
Yeah, that was a little crazy, and that's why it gets a 7. So yeah, I don't know. Go if you want just an entertaining ass movie. Just go watch this, but like seriously, go watch Next of Kin.
Honestly,
Like
both are on YouTube.
If you had a choice between the two, definitely watch Next of Kin.
And
Like,
guess what?
skip this movie and watch Next of Kin. If you gun to my head, if I had to, honestly,
If I was like, what movie do you need to watch right now on the planet?
Next of Kin is it.
It should be Next of Kin. But hey, both of these are on YouTube, so really,
maybe do a
if
double
you have
feature.
3 hours to spare to squeeze in 2 films, guess what? There you go. I think that's it.
That's all I have to say. I'm
gonna go tend to my soybean farm.
Yep, me too.
That's
Because you know what? In the words of
Confucius,
in the words of
as Sun Tzu would say,
Confucius says, it's in the Sun Tzu. Detail without using substance. Thank you for coming to our TED Talk. All right,
I think that's it.
That's it.
Bye.
Go off and save the planet now, guys. Okay.
I'm gonna save the planet with my soybeans.
Bye.